If there's one legendary car among automotive enthusiasts, it's the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. A car that has appeared in countless movies, video games, and rally events, earning its place as one of the true icons of Japanese performance engineering. Unfortunately, not every EVO has been treated the way it deserved. Many of them were heavily modified, pushed to their limits, and eventually abandoned. But the spirit of these cars never disappears, and that's exactly why bringing one back to life is always worth the effort. As you can see, this is one of those EVOs that was once somebody's pride and joy. While the exterior has definitely seen better days, the mechanical side of the car doesn't actually look too bad at first glance. Once the car arrives at the workshop, the real work begins. It's time to inspect every inch of it and find out exactly what we're dealing with. The first step is removing the rear wing, the doors, the trim pieces, the seats, basically everything that can come off. The goal is to strip the car down as much as possible so we can properly inspect the chassis for rust, hidden damage, or signs of previous repairs. When it comes to the engine, the most important thing is making sure it still turns over and has good compression. To do that, the spark plugs are removed, and a compression test is performed on every cylinder. The actual numbers matter, of course, but what's even more important is that all 4 cylinders produce very similar readings. Consistent compression is one of the best indicators that the engine is still healthy. Thankfully, the results are very encouraging. Compression is nicely balanced across all 4 cylinders, which tells us this engine is still in good shape and should make the mechanical restoration much easier. Under the hood sits the legendary 4G63T, a turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-4 that's widely regarded as one of the greatest performance engines Mitsubishi ever built. Thanks to Japan's famous Gentleman's Agreement, it was officially rated at around 276 horsepower, although many enthusiasts know these engines often produced noticeably more power straight from the factory. The teardown continues, and next up is the exhaust system. It turns out the previous owner installed an Apex I exhaust, a well-known upgrade among JDM enthusiasts. It's a quality performance exhaust that improves exhaust flow and can help the turbo breathe more efficiently. It's important to check for leaks, dents, or excessive carbon buildup to make sure it's still doing its job properly. Now it's time to continue stripping the rest of the car. The cleaner and more exposed everything is, the easier it becomes to identify every issue and create a proper restoration plan. On projects like this, having a clear roadmap is absolutely essential. Planning each step before starting not only saves time, but also prevents unnecessary work later on and usually leads to a much better final result. A thorough cleaning is another step that often gets overlooked, but it's incredibly important. After identifying several areas with surface rust, we get to see one of the most creative solutions in the entire project. Using nothing more than a plastic bottle filled with sand and an air compressor, he builds a homemade sandblaster, capable of removing rust surprisingly well. It's proof that you don't always need expensive tools to achieve impressive results. Sometimes a little creativity, patience, and determination are all it takes. One of the reasons I enjoy these restoration videos so much isn't just the cars themselves, it's the people behind them. These aren't massive restoration shops with unlimited budgets or state-of-the-art equipment. As you can see, this homemade setup works incredibly well, removing virtually all of the surface rust. Had you ever seen a system like this before? Personally, I think it's a brilliant idea, and a very affordable one too. Now it's time to remove the window trim and weather stripping. These rubber seals may not look like much, but they're notorious for trapping moisture over the years. That's exactly why rust often develops underneath them, hidden from view, until the car is completely disassembled. With those areas cleaned and inspected, the next step is sanding the entire body. As you can see, he's taking the paint all the way down to the lower layers, making sure nothing is left hidden beneath the old finish. It's definitely the right approach because it allows every square inch of the body to be inspected before any new paint goes on. It's actually pretty incredible seeing the entire body stripped down like this. At this stage, there's nowhere for rust, filler, or poor previous repairs to hide. Now we arrive at one of the most important stages of the entire restoration, primer. I always emphasize how critical this step is because a poor primer application can ruin everything that comes afterward. Even worse, improper preparation can allow rust to come back surprisingly quickly. Ideally, primer should be applied inside a professional paint booth where dust, humidity, and temperature are carefully controlled. In this case, though, since it's only primer, the environment isn't quite as critical as it will be for the final paint. Before spraying, he continues sanding some of the tighter areas that are difficult to reach. Personally, I probably would have finished all of the sanding before moving on, but perhaps he didn't have the right tools available at that moment. Once the areas that won't be painted are properly masked off, he applies primer across the body and begins repairing the small dents using body filler. One thing I really like here is that he's using body filler exactly as it should be used. It's only filling minor imperfections rather than trying to hide deep damage. I've seen plenty of repairs where people pile on excessive amounts of filler to avoid properly fixing the metal underneath. And sooner or later, those repairs almost always crack. Fortunately, that's not the case here. In my opinion, he's doing a very clean and professional job. Once the filler has been sanded smooth, another coat of primer is applied over the repaired sections to seal everything properly. And now, we finally get to the paint. Unfortunately, this isn't being done inside a professional spray booth, but he has taken some smart precautions. Before painting, he wets both the floor and the walls to reduce airborne dust as much as possible. Once the body is completely clean, dry, and properly degreased, he masks off every area that won't receive paint. As you can see, he's completely changing the color of the car. Personally, I think it's an excellent choice. It's much more subtle than the original finish while still giving the Evo a distinctive personality. It respects the car's heritage without trying too hard to stand out. Even though the workshop has already been cleaned, I would still keep the floor damp throughout the painting process. That simple trick helps prevent dust from being kicked back into the air while moving around the car. They're only small details, and any tiny imperfections can usually be corrected later with color sanding and polishing. But every little precaution helps when you're chasing the best possible finish. So, what do you think about this color? Let me know down in the comments. I'm always curious to hear what you would have chosen. With the exterior paint finished, it's time to move back to the mechanical side of the project. It's actually a smart decision, since it gives the fresh paint plenty of time to fully cure before the body is reassembled. Now we get to one of my favorite parts of the restoration. The valve cover comes off, giving us our first proper look inside the engine. At the same time, every vacuum hose and coolant line is carefully inspected. After more than 20 years, cracked rubber hoses are completely normal, even on cars that haven't seen many miles. Here's one small thing I probably would have done differently. He's removing some of the hoses while the valve cover is already off. It's unlikely that anything bad will happen, but personally, I prefer keeping the engine sealed for as long as possible. All it takes is a tiny piece of dirt or a small stone falling into the cylinder head, and you've just created unnecessary work for yourself later on. Next, he polishes several of the metal pipes and replaces the old cracked rubber hoses with brand new ones. It's one of those details that many people overlook. But fresh hoses don't just improve reliability. They also give the engine bay a much cleaner, factory-fresh appearance. After that, he cleans and paints the intercooler area. Now we finally see the engine protected with a cloth, which is definitely the right thing to do. Next, attention turns to the valve cover itself. It's carefully sanded, primed, and then painted. I really like this color choice. The bright red finish looks fantastic, and applying it over a dark base gives the paint a deeper, richer appearance that really makes it stand out once it's back in the engine bay. Little by little, the parts that were removed earlier begin finding their way back onto the car. Door handles, trim pieces, and finally, the freshly refinished valve cover all go back into place. Now it's time to move on to what I consider one of the most important systems on the entire car, the brakes. Years of sitting unused have definitely taken their toll, so replacing them is the right decision. At the same time, he also refinishes the brake calipers with a fresh coat of paint. It's a simple touch, but it makes a huge difference once the wheels are back on the car. The side skirts and window trim are next, and little by little this Evo is finally starting to look like a complete car again. One of the simplest repairs you can make, and one that delivers one of the biggest visual improvements, is restoring the headlights. Over time, constant exposure to sunlight and heat causes the plastic lenses to oxidize, leaving them cloudy and dull. In many cases, all it takes is a proper polish to bring them back to life, and just look at the difference. They look almost brand new. Next, he repairs the front bumper, where the grille had been damaged. Rather than replacing the entire bumper, he sands the affected area, applies primer, and refinishes it with fresh paint. If the damage is only superficial and the repair is done properly, this approach makes perfect sense. The finished result looks fantastic. Combined with the freshly restored headlights, the front end now looks almost factory fresh. This new air filter doesn't just look great, it should also help the engine breathe a little more freely. Now we move back to the front of the car for a final round of detailing. The headlights receive one last polish, and the front grille is repaired and refinished. It's a surprisingly simple job that almost anyone can do at home with some wet sanding, polishing compound, and a bit of patience. Just look at the result. They honestly look brand new. Now we're down to the finishing touches. I can't wait to see the finished car, but we're not there just yet. Remember when this project started, the interior was completely stripped. That means there's still plenty of work left to do. The carpeting, the door panels, the dashboard trim, the seats, and speaking of the seats, these Recaros are absolutely fantastic. Another detail that really caught my attention is the rear wing. Instead of reinstalling the oversized spoiler that was on the car before, he chose a cleaner, more understated design that still respects the original spirit of the Evo. Personally, I think it suits the car perfectly. Sometimes less really is more. Finally, the interior goes back together. All the trim panels are installed, the seats are bolted into place, and after countless hours of work, we're about to witness the moment everyone has been waiting for, the first startup. There's something incredibly satisfying about hearing an engine come back to life after a restoration like this, especially when it's a 4G63. So, what did you think of this restoration? Was it too conservative, too extreme, or do you think they found the perfect balance? Personally, I think the result is outstanding. If I had to point out one small thing, I probably would have chosen a slightly more subtle hood, but honestly, that's just personal preference. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed today's restoration, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next Sunday with another incredible project from the automotive world. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.